Hello and welcome to everyone who tuned in to watch my blog about the season thus far at the All-Star break. My name is Kylie, and I would like to acknowledge that while I'm a fan of all of the NBA, today's segment primarily revolves around the Portland Trail Blazers. This far along in the season, it has provided me with more than enough information to discuss how the team is progressing and dealing with their outpour of injuries. From the coaching staff to nearly the entire starting lineup, the Rip City has been riddled with ailments, including the latest hamstring injury to All-Star Brandon Roy. While the last 20 games have been extremely difficult to overcome, the season started with players dropping like flies, including centers Greg Oden and Joel Przybilla. Travis Outlaw was the first crucial member of the Blazers to suffer from a serious injury on his left foot requiring surgery. Many others were also smashed with the injury bug, but thankfully were able to return, such as Nicholas Batum, who has proven to be a critical piece of Portland's intricate puzzle. On a side note, one instance of not injury but sickness was Steve Blake, who was hospitalized with pneumonia at the tail end of 2009. Now, while it is so blatantly obvious that these losses have affected the Blazers team, putting the blame entirely on the missing aspects of the lineup is pretty unreasonable. At 31-24, just fourth place in the Northwest Division, it is still very possible for Portland to become not just a playoff contender, but a threat once they get healthy. A few games sparked my interest throughout the year, including their final game before the break against the Phoenix Suns. It proved to be a stunner because the Trailblazers not only won, they dominated the entire outing with an incredible offensive performance. For example, every single player, along with Cunningham off the bench, scored 10-plus points, including Blake, Aldridge, and Miller, who finished at the 20-plus point mark. Portland scored an unbelievable 60 points at halftime, which, for a defensive-oriented team, that's quite high. They even held a lead of 16 entering the fourth quarter. Despite the Suns' best efforts in late rally, it was no match for the deep hole they had dug themselves into, which is ultimately why the game ended up with Portland on top, 108-101. Another notable game that remains clear in most Blazers fans' minds was again in February, but this time against San Antonio. It was fairly even until about the third quarter, where it was a struggle to even stay in contention for a victory. Luckily, the score was within 10 going into the fourth quarter. As Portland began to emerge and the defense stepped up, the game soon turned in the Blazers' favor, which helped them to maintain their come-from-behind victory. Aldridge dropping in 28 only added to the intensity and positive result to a well-fought battle. Now, possibly the most memorable and miraculous victory, in my mind, goes to the Dallas game, thanks to one contributor in particular, Andre Miller. It is phenomenal for a player to score 30 points. Almost double that, and astonishingly, that's what Miller achieved. He ended up attaining 52 points in his valiant effort. How could this shining star have accomplished such an exceptional milestone? The efficiency of his baskets and his determination to keep the boards falling shot after shot is the reason Miller pulled off the impossible. Very memorable indeed. I personally enjoyed the January 2nd game versus Golden State, but that may have to do with the slight fact that I attended the game and cannot have been more excited. Overall, there have been many essential victories throughout the year. However, that does not change the fact that there were also many avoidable defeats, which changed the dynamics of the season. The division rival Utah Jazz, Oklahoma City Thunder, Minnesota Timberwolves, and Denver Nuggets have defeated Portland at least once each, which explains why the Blazers are trailing behind 3 of them. The 3 straight losses against Utah plays the most important role in their inconsistency on the road and within their division. Even at home in the Rose Garden, games were spoiled by the inability to A, hold off late fourth quarter sprees, and B, inefficient shooting percentage, such as the recent game against the Thunder. 3-point shots can make or break a game. In that particular outing, it crushed Portland, explaining the utter downfall of offense. In a nutshell, the Trailblazers have a decent winning record at 31-24. Although it could be much better with an all-around healthy team, the fact of the matter is, injuries cannot be a gateway to place the blame for games that should have, could have, and would have been victories. The next 27 games will determine the outcome of the 2009-2010 season. Will the Blazers make the playoffs? Will they repeat the first round drop like last year's disappointment? I'm not sure. With so many questions still looming over everyone's head in the Rip City, there is only one thing for certain. Never underestimate a team because they are unpredictable and at times extremely intimidating. There is no game Portland enters that you can guarantee the outcome, so keep your eyes open, Blazers fans, because the season is not over yet. While this concludes my recap about the Portland Trail Blazers, I would like to note a small segment about the All-Star game in Dallas. Without question, the offense was prominent in tonight's game. At halftime, the score was 76-69. Throughout the majority of the game, the East was on top, and the West just fell short. At the end of 3, star players LeBron James and Dwayne Wade scored 20-plus, adding to the Eastern dominance. However, similar to the Trailblazers, you cannot count out the West even when the chips are down. With just over 6 minutes remaining, they tied the game in the fourth quarter thanks to fantastic range from downtown. After some unpredictable basketball, the East once again gained the lead with only a few minutes left. Just like deja vu, the West battled and fought their way back into a tie game with only 60 seconds left in the fourth quarter. If you thought that was weird, I must warn you now, it gets quite a bit crazier. Caution, this game is not for those who appreciate defense, because that was not the case. The final minute involved fouls and intensity that came down to the wire. Here's the situation. Under 10 seconds to go, down by 2 for the West, and the East fouls Dirk Nowitzki. He drills both free throws. However, on the other side of the court, Chauncey Billups makes a critical error, enabling Chris Bosh to go to the free throw line with just about 5 seconds left. After he made both baskets, the score was 141-139. I know, that's quite a lot, and the East favored. Could the West once again tie the score, causing a frenzy in Dallas? No. The final seconds seemed awkward because there's no real shot taken. It was just kind of like an air ball pass shot. It wasn't very clear with lousy ball control. The East held on in shocking fashion. Not an easy win, but a very solid performance by many of the players. All in all, it was much closer than I had anticipated, and I enjoyed the thrilling finish. While the defense at times seemed non-existent, the offensive powerhouses took control and the East came out on top. Bravo, my friends. It was very exciting. This now sums up my broadcast. Thanks to all for tuning in. I very much appreciate your time. Take care, and happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to you too, Coco. Go Blazers!